Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 96 of the 476ers podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about last night's Pacers game.
Yo. Yo. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhyme that are coming from my mind.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 96 or 97 of the 476ers podcast. Hot 97, a hot one. That's how I'm coming in. We're going to talk about the Pacers game. So, yeah. I mean, listen. Joe calls out sick, uses up some sick time. Apparently, we are 1-5, which I learned from the Pacers broadcast, watching some of the highlights this morning from their broadcast. We are 1-5 against them without Joe, and 7-4 against them with Joe. Now, I don't know. That would just be, 17 games worth. I guess it's the last 5 seasons, 6 seasons, something like that, I guess. And, yeah, this is really, this team. I mean, I mentioned this on my last podcast about having a team, how it's just like, oh, great. Do you want to watch a team in the playoffs who are about to fire their coach? You know what I mean? Who's about to be like, but I did say that also the Pacers seem to be rallying around this battle cry. I mean, I think pretty much yesterday, them winning, they won and Chicago lost. I think that puts an end to Chicago, maybe Oklahoma, maybe Washington has to win, which to give a quick shout out to Russ, congratulations. I'm not going to do another Russ thing. I did the Russ thing already. But congratulations to him. It's regardless of how you feel, it's an incredible, it's a crazy accomplishment. You know what I mean? It's incredible, and because a lot like how Steph is not only going to break the 3-point record, he's going to just continue to build on it until it's almost unreachable. Russ is about to do the same thing. So, way to go, Russ. Congratulations. Anyway, so the Pacers, no Malcolm Brogdon, because even on the broadcast yesterday, they were trying to, on the Pacers broadcast, they said, well, you beat who's in front of you. Obviously, it's a good win, regardless if Joel didn't play, whatever. You beat who's in front of you, and that's true. And then on the flip side, you look at their team, and they're missing their arguably one of their best players, no matter whether it's their best or one of their best, and Malcolm Brogdon. They're missing Miles Turner. Who, again, you know how I feel, but in the fourth quarter, which we'll talk about shortly, they're missing guys. You know what I mean? They haven't had T.J. Warren all season. God forbid they had T.J. Warren out there. Oh, shit. Oh, they would have lit us the fuck up. Karras, I mean, our defense, ultimately, so we scored 32 points in the second half. Is it 32 or 31? Hold on. Yeah, 32 points. I'm sorry. We scored 32 points in the second half. We scored 62 points in the first half, 13 points in the third quarter. It's pretty fucking pathetic. And one of the biggest differences is in the fourth quarter, they decide. So, in the first half, they play Batadzi 5 minutes, does whatever. In the second half, they essentially decide in the fourth quarter. Batadzi plays the entire fourth quarter, right? Him and TJ McConnell play the entire fourth quarter. And they go Batadzi, they go big and have Batadzi and what's his face and Sabonis at the 4, and we can't make them pay. We just can't make them pay. You know what I mean? It's essentially it. We just don't have the skill, the talent to make them pay when they go big. You know what I mean? And because in the first half, which bears out in the first half, Danny and Ben, they scored 14 each, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look here in the first half. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, Toby scores 14, Ben scores 14, both of them on 6% shooting, 12 for 20, right? 60% shooting, that's great. And then in the second half, this shit falls the fuck apart, right? So then we go to the second half, right? And here we go, 5 for 14, I'm an all-star. And then we got Ben, 3 for 6, nothing left. And Ben hits 2. Listen, I'll be honest, those 2 jumpers were pretty nice. Turnaround jumpers, they were nicer than some of the other ones I've seen him shoot. It actually looked like a shot that he practices. It actually looked like a legitimate turnaround shot that he has practiced at times. It did not look like some rinky-dink shit that he just put together in a shed and said, "Here is I'm Iron Man now." You know what I mean? Like, it looked like some real Tony Stark level shit, and it looked good. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him try those again, even though a pull up would be probably, you know, the point is teams are betting on you posting up. You know what I mean? They're posting up or trying to get to the rim, so they're going to build that wall. So you're not post up is not going to be the thing you're going to get, especially when Joe's playing and Toby's playing and all these guys are playing. You're not going to get the opportunity to post up. It'd be more helpful if you want to shoot jumpers. And I get this is just one game. He's never going to shoot. That's the last two jumpers we see all year. I would almost be willing to bet money on that we are not going to see Ben shoot another jump shot for the rest of the season. He shot 3 in the last 2 games. 2 last night. That is it. His quota, he is way over quota. He cannot continue shooting like this. You know what I mean? He's gonna need fucking Tommy John surgery if he continue shooting. There's no way. And I mentioned yesterday I mentioned on the last podcast how there are times when you're watching Ben and it looks like he can finish so easily, and then there are times where it's like, what the fuck just happened? And last night really bears out that way, because you go from a dunk, just a monster dunk just all over Karras, act like as if Karras is not even there, to this weird layup that he goes in the first quarter that Sabonis challenges that is just wild. It's just a wild thing. Then there's the one play where he doesn't. Okay, before we get to Ben, let's finish up the recap. So they go Batadzi in the fourth quarter, and essentially we have no answers. We can't make him pay. Toby's 3-point shot is just completely abandoned him. You know what I mean? What did he finish the game for from 3? I mean, our 3-point shoot, about 2 for 5 is not terrible, honestly. It's just not. That's not bad. So, you know, I mean, it felt worse. Okay. Before we get to Toby, our 3-point shooting generally though was trash. Danny hits 2. I want to say Danny hit 2 straight and then missed 6 straight. You know what I mean? I almost feel like that's what happened. I could be wrong. Nope, I'm right. He went 2 for 2 to start the game, and then he misses 6 straight after that. Seth plays okay. You know, but one thing I will say, Mike Scott actually played pretty good. You know what I mean? I thought he defended Sabonis pretty well when he was in there. I actually don't think we lost a ton starting Mike Scott at the 5. And usually I don't necessarily like that much. I know why we do it, and I don't completely like it, but sometimes it works, sometimes it could be whatever. I thought actually Mike Scott played well starting at the 5 yesterday. But ultimately just a mess. I mean, he really fucking pathetic. He's just really fucking pathetic. You know, it's funny because every now and then you go on Twitter, right? And there are people who are so you know, trying to cap for Ben, that or are caping for Ben, I should say, that you go on and they're like, oh, if we win this game without Joe, Ben is an all-star, Ben is this or Ben is that. And I want to always reply like, so what happens if we lose this game though? Then what now? What does that mean now that if we lose that game? Are you going to blame it on somebody else? So it would be Ben's doing if we win, but if we lose, is it going to be Toby's fault? You know what I mean? Whose fault is it going to be if we lose this game? I mean, this game is fucking pathetic. You know what I mean? This is pathetic. We at one point we're up almost 20 on them. You know, in the first half, we end up finishing the half up 11. Whatever. We take Karras out of the game in the first half, and then in the second half, I couldn't rewatch it because there's no replays available right now. But in the second half, I don't know what happens. We completely fall apart on Karras. You know what I mean? We completely fall apart. He hits. I want to say he hits 3 straight 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. Is that right? Let me see. Let's take a look. You know, I'm doing this shit from memory. Let's see here. Karras. He goes 3 for 3. No, he only hits. Oh no, I'm thinking Justin Holiday. Justin Holiday hits 1. Karras hits 1. Who else hits 1? Maybe I'm thinking about in the third quarter as well. I mean, Karras. Look at these numbers in the fourth quarter. We got the defensive player of the year, mind you. 3 for 3. He scores 11 points in the fourth quarter. I think that's their highest scoring quarter of the game, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. The third quarter, they scored 24. And I'm pretty sure they don't score. Let's see. The second quarter, 25. First quarter is what, 27? 26. Yeah, the highest scoring quarter of the game goes into they scored 28 in the fourth quarter. We scored 33 in the first quarter, and we don't come close to that again. You know what I mean? We don't come close to that again. It's 33 and then 61 for the last 3 quarters. So that's an average of 20.3 points per quarter. That's pretty fucking embarrassing. You know what I mean? We had whatever we wanted, and then we didn't. Pretty much is how it goes. You know what I mean? We had whatever we wanted until we didn't anymore. Okay, let's run down the line. We'll save Tobi and Ben for last. Danny, I talked about Danny. You know what I mean? His 3-point just off. You know what I mean? Danny, I'm going to be honest with you, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to watch that replay 6 more times in the fourth quarter. It definitely, to me, looked like it did go off of you. You know what I mean? It looks like it goes out of bounds. And everyone from Danny to the fucking to Allah and Mark are just, doesn't look like it went out of bounds to me off Danny, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, for sure it looked like it went out of bounds on Danny. For sure. To me, when I watched it the first time, I said, oh, I think that's out of bounds on Danny. And I didn't really pay attention to the replay because to me it was like, yeah, I think that went out of bounds on Danny. And then, they're whatever. Okay, no problem. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, one, our offense had become so fucking stagnant in the second half that even had it not gone out of bounds on Danny, we probably weren't going to get a bucket. We didn't have anyone to get one for us. And then they come back, and so Karras gets to switch on Mike Scott. Poor Mike. He played well that one though. Ooh. Got turned around. He got sent home. Was banished. He was banished. He was banished from Karras, who just does a little boop, hard dribble, step back, pull up 3. I mean, I never seen something more wet. I never saw something more guaranteed. You know what I mean? And they're blaming that on the Danny Graham. What does this have to do with that? You play defense. Get back and play defense. Ben, when he gets, okay, before we get to Ben, I talked about Mike Scott already. I thought he played okay. Now it doesn't offer a ton on offense, but I thought defensively he actually played okay. I mean, he's just strong he's just strong. He's either Sabonis is weak or Mike Scott and Ben are as strong as bulls. And I know Ben is strong as shit, and so is Mike Scott. Seth, he hit a couple 3-pointers early, but that was pretty much it. You know what I mean? That was pretty much it. It pretty much abandons him from there. Seth, and a lot of, man, his defense sometimes, like, he does triumph, but the weak side defense, like the amount of times that the weak side defense collapses, somebody gets an open shot and it's because of Seth and they're looking at Seth and Seth has that blank look and, he walks with his shoulders behind him a lot, you know what I mean? And he's just sitting there looking confused. Yeah, I mean, Seth's defense at times can be problematic at best. It's rough. It's rough at times. George Hill played 20 minutes, I think, or apparently, based on these numbers, he played 20 minutes. He played okay. I don't, not much to say. I mean, a -3, right? Yeah, that's pretty much that pretty much sums it up. You know what I mean? That sums it up. But plus minus is so because Ben has a -18. He played better than that. Even though I'm gonna talk about Ben in a second. He did play better than a -18. But plus minus is such a fucking crapshoot at times. Dwight played okay. He's out there fouling people again. You know what I mean? He's out there fouling, confused why he's fouling people and getting called for it. It's like he doesn't know. It's like he doesn't know that fouls get called in the NBA. It's like he doesn't know that that there's fouls in basketball or something. It's so confusing to me. The way he looks when he fouls somebody and he's not sure why they're calling it on him, I don't know. Dwight, every foul they call on you was legit. Every foul is there. I haven't seen a Dwight Howard foul where I walked away and said that wasn't a fucking foul. I haven't seen them. Ben, I see a good amount of them. But let me be clear. We'll talk about Ben in a second. Dwight, you're fouling, man. You're fouling. Tyrese, I thought played pretty okay. He is, they've been suggesting and that he might be playing himself into some playoff minutes, so, some rotation minutes. And, when we need scoring, he gives us scoring, and he's not a bad defender. He's not a bad defender. I mean, TJ McConnell made him look like a child, but, Tyrese, he has that boyish look to him. I get it. His face is exfoliated. He looks like, he's 13. I understand. He doesn't have the strength. Right? TJ listen, TJ hit Tyrese with the same shots he hit Anthony Toliver with. You know what I mean? Which is crazy to think that TJ just shedding Anthony Toliver from 10 feet and is pulling up with a jump shot. That's always money. It's always money from there. You got to give it to TJ. Got to give it to him, man. He's become a good pro, and he was a big reason why they won that game. To be clear, he's a big reason why they won that game. Effort, heart, defense, all of it. He's a big reason why they won that game. Whatever. Anthony Toliver, I thought he played okay. I thought he played some good defense. There was one play, I think he ended up isolated on Karras that I thought he played really, really good defense on Karras. Isaiah Joe, I thought played pretty solid, played good defense, hit 1-3, airballed 1-3. I can't remember the other shot he missed. Was that a layup? I don't remember the other shot he missed. He played okay. Nothing to say. Toby, let's go back up now. Let's talk about the All-Star. Let's talk about the I'm on All-Star. There were times last night, I couldn't even believe when they said Toby was at 20 points in the third. I think it was in the third quarter, because in the fourth quarter, I think he scores most of our points. He scores most of our points in the fourth quarter. I want to say he scores 11 points or something like that in the fourth, right? Is that right? No, he scores 7 in the fourth. There were times last night when they said he was at 20 points, I almost couldn't believe it. Because there were times where he just looked so, like, I don't want to say uncomfortable. He just didn't look right. And I don't mean uncomfortable as in injured. I mean uncomfortable, like just confused by the game of basketball at times. Some passes were just, I said he's allowed one a game. He's allowed one. Both of those turnovers were terrible passes. One to I don't know what you're passing to Danny under the rim for. Wait, you're there. It's a 3-on-2 under the rim. You're not. Why are you passing? What do you think Danny's going to do if he catches this ball here? Do you think Danny is some sort of slasher high flyer? No. You see how Danny runs. Danny runs like he has multiple sclerosis, right? And he runs, his arms, they do not fully extend. His elbows stay at a constant almost a 90-degree angle. I would bet when he's sleeping, he sleeps with his hands up. Like he sleeps with his hands in a prayer, and he's just sleeping 90 degrees. You know what I mean? He doesn't straighten his arms. What do you think he's going to do under the rim? He's not going to do anything under the rim. Why are you giving it to him there? That's not a good pass. And then there was another pass that he just out of bounds. Just throws it out of bounds. I'm pretty sure that was the one that's that one. Just out of bounds. Just out of bounds. Just out of bounds. 2 for 5 is fine. It felt worse than that. And in the fourth quarter, I think he goes 0 for 3. Is that right? I might be wrong. Hold on, let me see here in the fourth quarter. What does he do in the fourth quarter? No, let's go here. 1 for 2 in the fourth. Oh, that's right. He does hit that one. And then when we're trying to come back, he bricks that second one. It's just rough. There just isn't, when we need a bucket, there's no one who can get us one. When we need a bucket, there's no one who can get us one. Once they just essentially went with Bataji at the 5, because Sabonis can't protect the rim. That's ultimately the problem with Sabonis. You know what I mean? While I always talk about I would just play Sabonis at the 5 and roll with it, I would. But also you would understand that he can't protect the rim. You know what I mean? He is not about to come out here and protect that rim. You really need someone like Draymond next to him. You know what I mean? You need like a Draymond playing the 4, or even a Ben, playing whatever, defending, and then Sabonis. But Sabonis is good passer. He had a triple-double yesterday. You know what I mean? Some of those passes were really, really nice passes. He's a good player. Whatever. He's a good player. Good for him. He really played himself into something. The point being, we need a bucket. We can't get it. They go Bataji and Sabonis. Sabonis is not a good defender. We can't make them pay at all. We cannot make them pay. We can't make them pay at all. We have nothing. We just got nothing for them. It's really stagnant. I wanted to come out here and say, man, our defense must have fallen. Did our defense fall? No, our defense didn't fall apart. We gave up the exact same amount of points in both halves, pretty much. What we give up, 52 in the first, 54 in the second half. So our defense didn't really, whatever. It was whatever. Well, it can't be 52 and 54. 51. I'm sorry, 51 and 52. We give 51 and 52. You know what I mean? We have 51 and 52 points in the second half. So our defense did whatever it had to do, but we couldn't fucking score. We couldn't get any buckets. You can try to point at injuries, I guess. Yeah, no Shake. But Shake sometimes. But you're telling me if Shake and Furkan played yesterday, you're positive that they would have outscored our bench production? You know what I mean? Are we positive of that? George Hill scored 8. Tyree scored 11. Isaiah Joe had 5. So we're sure that they're going to outscore. We have one of the worst benches in the league. We have one of the worst benches in the league. You know what I mean? If you look at the stats, bench scoring stats, no, we're middle of the pack at best. Middle of the pack at best. Bottom half of the league. So we're expecting Furkan and Shake to come out here and score points for us? Probably not, no. Probably not, no. I mean, I hate the Pacers. I hate the Pacers. I hate the Pacers. I hate the Raptors. These teams have our numbers all the time. They just do. And it really pisses me off. Just makes me angry. Just makes me angry. If we had Joe, we would have won. Without a question, we would have won that game. But Joe was sick. Gets sick all the time. That man is sick. Always sick. Just always sick. Just always sick. I pray that he does not get sick during the playoffs. That's what we need. We need him to not be sick during the playoffs. And Ben, Ben, I actually thought Ben played pretty good. He had meltdown in the second half, though. Meltdown in the second half, right? I mean, I think most of these turnovers, most of these fouls all happened in the second half. 4 fouls in the second half. Yeah, 4 fouls in the second half. 3 turnovers in the second half. In the first half is a lot better, right? First half, only 2 turnovers, 1 foul. He has 6 assists in the first half. In the second half, he has 1 assist, right? But assists, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. The thing is, when Batazi comes in the game, all of a sudden, those open runs to the rim and people collapsing to the rim that can make them pay, but that can collapse and who the player they collapse off of can make them pay for collapsing no longer exists once you have a rim protector. You know what I mean? Anyone who can make it just a little bit more difficult. He had 5 fouls. I'll be real with you. I thought Ben played okay offensively. 28-7 is not a bad game. I can't hate on it. I thought he defended well, and in the second half started fouling a ton. And additionally, and listen, some of these fouls we got to talk about here, because there was one foul where Tyrese fought through a screen and they called a foul, and it feels like, because at times, how many times have you heard me talk about Ben not getting through screens, right? Well, if they call a foul every time you get through a screen, then it's not even Ben's fault. Then what is even good defense on the perimeter anymore? There's just no such thing. If you can't fight through a fucking screen, that they're going to call a foul, they got to do better. They got to do better. They got to do better legislating this. You know what I mean? They just have to. Ben essentially, Danny, there were a couple screens where, and this is Danny. I don't know what the fuck Danny's thinking here. Maybe it's not that. I don't know what Danny's thinking. I guess because Danny is chasing Doug McDermott around, and Doug is taller, so it's not like Danny can jump behind him to affect the shot necessarily. Probably be a foul, but just Danny is taking the widest gap around a screen I have ever seen in my life. I mean, it looks like he's running to the tunnel. It's like screen set. I'm out. I'm gone. I'm heading home. I'm out. I'm out of here. I'm gone. And now Doug is shooting a wide open 3-pointer. And that happened multiple times. Multiple times. I don't know. I don't know. 5 turnovers, 5 fouls. There were offensive plays that they should have called fouls on Ben. I'll be real with you. Yeah, I'm going to keep it real with you. Credit to Ben, who has gotten better at not chicken winging everybody when he's driving. As for someone who's so fucking athletic, it's incredible how many people just get in front of him. How people just get in front of him when they're defending him. When they're defending him. You know what I mean? I guess if you're saying background mix, they do it to Giannis, just they can't stop Giannis after they do it. It doesn't matter. And Ben just essentially says, okay, cool. I'm going to just bully you out of the way, do one of these, 2 slow, big steps and finish, 2 exaggerated steps and finish. And he almost chicken wings them, but doesn't. But they could call those offensive fouls. For sure, they could have called those offensive fouls on Ben. Could have fouled him out of the game. Some of the defensive fouls I thought were ticky-tack. But then when he gets his 4th foul, he decides now that he's going to he wants to challenge the referee what the referee thinks is a foul. And he's just pushing it to the limit at that point to get his 5th foul. And it's like, Ben, cool out here for a second. Oh, actually, the 4th, that's exactly what happens. The 4th foul is an offensive foul. Which was a bad call. To be clear, it was a bad call. Yeah, it was a call where he's setting a screen in the lane. He's setting a screen. The Sabonis is coming across the lane, runs into him, and they both fall, and they call a foul on Ben. How does that make sense? If he's setting the screen and Sabonis runs into him, how does it make sense that Ben is the person who got the foul? He's just sitting there setting a screen. Terrible call. That was a bad call. I can agree with that. That was a bad call. Some of those calls, though, were fine. And honestly, again, because of the lack of offensive fouls, I'm very surprised. Here's Tobi trying to just post up anybody. Tobi thinks he can post up the world. I mean, he really thinks he'll post up any fucking body. If Shaq was guarding Tobi would try to post up Shaq. Tim Duncan, all-time defender, one of the greatest defensive players. Kevin Garnett, no problem. Let me post him up real quick. Let me post him up. Tobi, we need more than just a post up, bro. We need more than just a post up. You can't post up Sabonis. Sabonis isn't a good defender, but he has weight and height on you. You can't post him up. That doesn't really make a ton of sense. Don't make a ton of sense. But I get it, because when you try to take him off the dribble, your first step in explosiveness just isn't impressive enough to really blow by him. And you're finishing with those wild high layups. You know what I mean? They drop, though. They drop. So I'm not going to hate. They drop. But I understand why you don't try it more, because it's not. I'm not going to say it's lucky, but it almost seems, I got to wait with that one. I mean, this was abysmal. This game is abysmal. You know what I mean? This game is abysmal. Because this is the point. This is my point. This is what I'm scared of, right? This is what I'm scared of going into the playoffs. I mentioned this on the other podcast. When we need buckets, who's going to get them here? I mean, this is right here what you're seeing. Tobi to 27, Ben's 20. That's pretty much the upside. That's their ceilings. That's their ceilings. That's the ceiling for them. And here we go on the broadcast. Well, Ben's doing enough to win games. That's what's important. But I'm not going to criticize Ben at all. You can be critical of Ben. You can be critical of Ben. Sometimes it seems like he's sleepwalking. Instead of being more aggressive, he should be scoring more points. Because there are times where he should say, fuck it. I'm taking this to the rim right now. Joe, take this play off. Get me this rebound. You know what? You know what's great? Because there's no long outlets. We never do outlets. I never see an outlet. I never see, and then maybe Joe just doesn't have the skill to do it. Maybe that's just not Joe's thing. The big man, defensive rebound, Ben is already halfway down the court, long outlet. Why don't we ever do that? You have a freak athlete in Ben, a big-ass target. He's a big fucking target. Outlet that bitch. Get that shit 25 feet down the court and let Ben do something with it. We just don't do it. We just don't do it. We just don't have it. Maybe we just don't have the skill, the talent, whatever. We don't have it. When we need a bucket, we can't get one. We can't manufacture a bucket. In the fourth quarter yesterday, there was not 1 point. Once they took the lead, there wasn't 1 second that I thought we'd come back and win, because we just can't get a bucket. Tobi, 11 for 24, 27 points. That's his ceiling. His ceiling to score that many points takes about that many shots. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's about how many shots it's going to take from to score 27. That's pretty much what I expect. 24 shots and only 3 free throws. That's wild. When you think about it, that's wild. Because he only shot 5 3-pointers. Right? So 19 shots that are not 3-pointers that are happening in the guts, right? In the mid-range, at the rim, and you only shot 3 free throws. If Joe shot 24 shots, he also shot 12 free throws. Without a question, without a doubt. And if Joe shot 24 shots, he has 40 points probably. Maybe not 40, but 35 at the least. 35 at the least. At the least, 35. And this is the thing, because you know what, the truth, this is the thing. When we're talking about, like, when we're comparing guys, and sometimes I can be critical of Chris Middleton. And if I was a Bucks fan and I was doing a podcast on the Bucks, I would be so up and down on Chris Middleton. But you know what? I'd be like, man, I'm glad I have Chris Middleton instead of Tobias Harris. Glad I got Middleton instead of Harris, because Middleton is a really fucking good creator. He's a really good passer. If you would have watched, even though they got blown out by the Spurs, which was very confusing after I came on here and said I was scared about them, then they lose to the Spurs by 20, but whatever. The NBA, you know, anything can happen. There were plays in that game where Middleton, I mean, just high-level passes that Middleton was making. High-level passes. Really, really good passes. Tobi can't pass like Middleton. Tobi's not as good as a defender as Middleton is, even though Tobi, in terms of isolation defenders, he's near the tops in percentage. Actually, pretty sure he's above Ben and percentage of shooting percentage given up on defense, on isolation defensive plays. Middleton is a better defender, arguably, than Tobi. He's a better scorer, a better shooter, better passer. He's just a better everything, and he wasn't an all-star. You know. So what? I mean, if we compare Tobi to Pascal Siakam, right? The argument really would be, well, Tobi's a better shooter. But if he's only shooting 5 threes a game, Pascal shoots about that. I don't know how many shots, how many 3-point a game does Pascal shoot? Let's look this shit up real quick. Hold on, let's go player stats here. I'm curious. I want to just see here. This is not going to go the way I want it to go. I can already tell. It's already taking too long. It's already taking too long here. I don't know. I don't want to. You know what? How about we go to teams? Let's go to teams here. Let's go to teams. Let's go to all teams. Let's go to the Raptors. Where are we at? Who knows where the Raptors even play? Do they play in the NBA? Here they are. Let's see here. I shouldn't have clicked on stats. Man, I fucked myself. No, here it is. Okay, Pascal. Pascal right here. 21, 7, and 4.5 assists. So he's having a better season than Tobi all around. 30% 3-point shooter. So he's a worse 3-point shooter, but he shoots about the same amount of 3-point shooters that Tobi shoots. But is a better defender also. I don't know. And I'm not saying that I want Pascal over Tobi, and actually because Pascal's having a down season this year. Last year he was a 36% 3-point shooter, but shooting more threes. And I'm not saying that Pascal is definitely better than Tobi, but what I am saying is that Tobi's not an all-star. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Tobi's not an all-star. Because a lot of what's going on with Pascal, you could really chalk up, and I really do think it's a legit thing that's like, hey, they're not even playing in Toronto. They're playing in fucking Florida for whatever reason. You know what I mean? It's like this thing that we're like just not talking about. They haven't had a home game all season. You know what I mean? They haven't had a home game all season. So anyway, I just listen, again, I like Tobi as a person. I think Tobi is a really good third option. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, let me take that back. I think Tobi is a good third option. I don't think he's a really good third option. I think Chris Middleton is a really good third option. The Pascal's a really good third option. I think Tobi's a good third option. That's what I think. I think Tobi is a good third option. But when we need buckets, who's going to get it? No idea. No idea. When we go into the playoffs and defenses get tighter and things get harder, I mean, if you literally just put out a semi-effective, because the point, because you know what the argument against the Nets is, again, they don't play defense. Well, if you just deploy a solid zone against us, we're not going to have an answer for it. We're not going to have an answer for it. We're not going to have an answer for it because two players, Ben and Joe, want to occupy essentially the same spot, the same space. And Tobi isn't the knockdown shooter that they're going to be worried about. Of course they're going to be challenging. I'm not to say they're going to just let them shoot open threes, but no one's going to be fucking like, it's not going to be all hands on deck. It's obviously not going to be Steph or any of those guys, but it's not going to be all hands on deck on that. You know what I mean? It's like Chris Middleton is an all hands on deck 3-point shooter, So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, yesterday's is as disappointing of a game. We could have locked up the 1 seed. Listen, we're still going to lock up the 1 seed more than likely. Well, unless we lose to Miami, who's rounding in the form. Listen, I'm still not. And I haven't spent enough time looking in Miami, looking at their schedule to know the guys they beat. I have a distant feeling, albeit, even though, because again, I haven't been paying attention, that Miami is beating up on a lot of teams that are missing guys, whatever. And not to say that but they're healthy now. They've been healthy now. So they just beat the Celtics yesterday. They beat Celtics the game before. They don't have Jalen. I mean, the Celtics are imploding, but they don't have Jalen. They have Kemba technically. Jimmy's playing great though. Jimmy probably deserves some MVP votes. He won't get. He deserves. Jimmy deserves something to let everyone know that he was very important this year, that he was one of the best 15 guys, arguably, in the NBA. And I can say that. I'm man enough to say that. He's played great. His three can't shoot a three for his life, but I think it's a 20% three-point shooter or something like that. Terrible three-point shooter, but he's played great. 27 and 7, I think he's averaging. He's played great. And the Heat, their offense has been scoring a ton of points over the last month. You know what I mean? Which is great. Their efficiency has just skyrocketed. You know, so we play them next. Who knows what's going to happen? You know, I want to say we're going to beat them if Joe plays. I want to say we're going to beat them, but they're playing well. We are again. While we just won 8 straight games, those 8 straight games to me are like mad hollow. I don't know that I would be so like willing to just be like, hey, you know, like there is I said on the last podcast that I think we should sweep this end of the season. We should beat the Pacers. We should beat the Heat. But when we play games like that yesterday, and if Joe's not going to play tomorrow, when every time I say something like that, it's dependent on Joe playing. You have to understand that. Anytime I say anything like that, it's completely dependent on Joe's playing, and I don't really care too much about who else is playing outside of that. If Joe's playing, we should win these games, in my opinion. If Joe's not playing, oh, well, then shit is up in the air. It's up in the air at that point. You know, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? You know what I mean? So that's it, everybody. Like I say, we play the Heat, and then this weekend starts makeup games, which the schedule has not been released for that yet. But we start the makeup games. So you know, I think we have to play the Magic and somebody else. Yeah, and we'll see what happens. That's it, everyone. Wash your hands. You know the drill. Stay safe. Black Lives Matter. Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Stop Asian hate. That's it. Take care. Oh, wear a mask. Get vaccinated. Listen, I know that it's a complicated subject. And because it's a complicated subject, some person on YouTube who has weird music playing in the background and awkward graphics and an ugly hat and bad facial hair. My facial hair right now is struggling, but see, I got that, I have that look, that I have that unkempt but good-looking look. Well, I wouldn't say good-looking, but I'm trying to be good-looking look. Unkempt, trying to be good-looking look. I know you're going to hear me, but I'm not going to tell you to get vaccinated, even though you should. Please get vaccinated, but go do the research from, scientists. I don't know why people think scientists are in on some weird conspiracy. They're not. It doesn't matter if Microsoft has put money in, because the actual dark reason about why Microsoft donates money to these things is so that they can write them off at the end of the year for less taxes. Even though they don't get taxed already, they want to get paid almost for doing shit like this. And I don't know how that works because taxes are beyond me, right? That's really the truth. They're not trying to put chips in your bike. You're already on your cell phone all day. Your cell phone is listening to you all day. Obviously, it's obvious. They say that they're not. We know that they are. We know that they are. I'm going through coding boot camps, right? I'm looking through coding boot camps for my job so I can become a software developer. And also yesterday I mentioned on a couple occasions to a couple different people just the enjoyment of watching basketball. And somehow, Instagram gives me, this is crazy. So even if this ad exists, Instagram gives me an ad. And the ad is, essentially the point is, if you were playing basketball, you would be practicing 1,000,000 jump shots. Well, you would have to do the same with coding. Come to this coding boot camp. What? How did you get such an on-point ad? Come on. You're not listening? Anyway. They're not putting chips in you. They've already did that with the cell phone. That you're literally watching these stupid YouTube videos on with some guy in weird facial hair telling you, get vaccinated or stay the fuck away from me. One or the other. You got no in-betweens. That's it. Stay safe. Take care. Have a good day.
Yo. Yo. Justice for the blind. Just something that'll find in the rhyme that are coming from my mind. Used to come